probably no way you can get it to be successful.
All right, so speaking of not being too far ahead of your time, it was 2009 and you decided there would be AGI.
Yes. Maybe it was only 10 years ahead of our time that time. Better than 50 years.
So tell us about, again, room full of founders here. Tell us about '09. How did you convince the first few brilliant talents? Because you pulled in really high caliber employees, early team members. How do you convince them to believe in what seemed like total sci-fi at the time?
Well, there were some interesting threads that I think we picked up on. I think we thought we were 5 years ahead, but maybe we were more like 10. But it was, deep learning had just been invented by Jeff Hinton and colleagues sort of in academia, but almost no one had really realized it was a big deal. We knew a lot about reinforcement learning, and we felt there was huge progress to be made by combining those two techniques, which almost had never been mixed together, really, certainly not at any kind of anything other than toy problems in the academic subjects. They were two quite siloed parts of AI. Then we could see the compute, that GPUs at the time were going to be really useful. Of course, we use TPUs now, but the accelerated computing industry was going to be very helpful. And then we also felt at the end of my PhD and postdoc and some of the other people I got together were computational neuroscientists, that we had enough ideas and principles from the brain that could be useful, including the idea that reinforcement learning could eventually scale to AGI. So we felt we had these ingredients, and we almost felt like we were keepers of a secret, because no one, either in academia or industry, really believed that any big progress was possible. In fact, a lot of the people in academia used to literally roll their eyes up at us when we were sort of suggested we would work on AGI or strong AI, it was sometimes called at the time, because it was like, well, we know this doesn't work. So, everyone tried it in the 90s. I did my postdoc at MIT, which was the sort of center point for expert systems and first order logic language systems. I mean, it seems amazing to think that now, but I was already feeling that was archaic then. But that's still how it was done, both in Cambridge in the UK and also in MIT, these big centers of traditional AI. And it felt like, but actually that convinced me even more that we were onto something, because at least if we were going to fail, we would fail in a different way than people had failed, to get to AGI in the 90s. So that felt like it was worth doing, no matter what. Even if obviously it was research, we didn't know for sure it would be successful. But at least we would fail in an original way if it didn't work.
Was there any common sticking point in that early belief? Was there something that you had to prove either to yourself or to your early followers to get them on board?
Well, it was, put it this way, I would have spent my life on AI no matter what had happened. So as it's turned out, it's gone, it's sort of gone on the absolutely amazing side of the optimistic side of what we thought. Still actually within what we were predicting in 2010. We thought it would be a 20-year mission. And I think we're basically exactly on track as a field for that. And obviously we played our part in that. But even if it hadn't transpired that way and it was still now a niche subject, that's what I would still be doing, because I felt it was the most important technology ever, if it was obvious to me. Our original mission statement at DeepMind was step 1, solve intelligence, i.e. build AGI. Step 2, use it to solve everything else. So I always thought it was the most important technology that could ever be invented, but also the most interesting one. So as a tool for science, as an interesting artifact in itself, and actually as one of the best ways to understand our own minds. Like the nature of consciousness, dreaming, creativity, all of these questions I had as a neuroscientist, I felt one of the things that was missing was an analysis tool like AI, but also a comparison that you could do sort of a controlled experiment, study, and compare two different systems against each other.